Alright, what is going on, folks? Wrestling Otaku back here on the one and only Wrestling Otaku channel. Of course, your personification of excellence on YouTube and YWC. We're the best reviews wrestling and your three-time YWC channel of the year. And I'm back here. It is now officially Thursday, August the 21st of 2025. Hope you all have had a good one. This is actually technically my second video of the night. I did a short video a little while ago talking about the Karrion Kross situation. If you guys have seen that video, hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, go check that out. And of course, obviously come back to watch this video, or vice versa. If you want to watch that later, you're more than welcome to if you haven't seen it. But this is technically my second video of the night, so I wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way while I'm thinking about it here on this Thursday. So here tonight, I'm here to give you guys my official AEW Forbidden Door 2025 pay-per-view predictions video. So as you all know, or as you should know, AEW Forbidden Door pay-per-view takes place in 3 days. 3 days time, 72 hours away. We're 72 hours away from AEW Forbidden Door, which of course is their joint pay-per-view that they do every year. They've done it for the last couple of years now, and it's always been a modicum of success. That being, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, also CMLL is a part of that as well. So those three main companies are the biggest names, obviously, in this joint pay-per-view that they do every year. So we're 3 days away from the pay-per-view officially taking place, which it takes place this upcoming Sunday, August the 24th. And it will take place at a start time of 1 p.m., at least here in the United States, because this pay-per-view will emanate in the UK, in London, England, specifically at the O2 Arena in downtown London, England. So obviously there's a time difference. I think it's like 6 hours, or I think they're like 6 hours ahead of us. So it will be roughly a 7 p.m. start time for them. So that's hence why we have such an early start time for Forbidden Door on Sunday. So it makes sense. But anyway, So since we are so close to the pay-per-view taking place, and since you guys have, of course, if you've watched this channel, if you follow this channel long enough, I always do these pay-per-view predictions videos for these AEW shows, specifically these AEW pay-per-views, days before the show itself, or on the week of the show itself. I kind of wanted to wait after, the events of Dynamite, because we had a couple things added. We had a couple match stipulations added and things of that nature. So I always want to wait until after the Dynamite, the go-home show, just to see what happens. And so I figured with 3 days away from, since we're 3 days away from the pay-per-view, I go ahead and give you guys my predictions video now. So as I mentioned before, this pay-per-view will emanate from London, England, from the O2 in London, England, and according to what I have seen, the venue itself is a near sellout as of, and I remember, and I checked this like a few days ago, as of around Sunday, Monday, coming off the weekend. It's been a couple days now since I last checked, but I remember seeing reports that the venue, the O2, has sold roughly 17,000, little over 17,000 tickets, or a little over 17,000 tickets sold for Forbidden Door at the O2, which, if you don't know, is, the O2 Arena has a max capacity of like 20,000. So it is very close, about 3,000 away from having a complete sellout, or entire. Is about 3,000 tickets away from having a total sellout of the venue, or selling out the venue entirely. So I don't know if they've done that yet. Again, it's been a couple days since I checked. I would not be surprised if it ends up being a sellout, because we've seen what happened with AEW's All In show. It started out around 20,000, and they end up selling close to 30,000. So they very well could have a full sellout of the venue, which of course the anti-AEW contingent on social media doesn't like to hear, because they like to chirp up and down that AEW can't sell out arenas, they can't sell out arenas, and yet every big show that AEW puts on pay-per-view wise, they're always selling out big venues like this. They sold almost 30,000 tickets for AEW All in Texas back in the beginning of July. They've been really selling out a vast majority of the big shows they've done throughout this year. They sold out Arena Mexico, of course, for Grand Slam Mexico, and now they have a near sellout of Forbidden Door here for the O2. Over 17,000 tickets sold as of a couple days ago, which was reported as of a couple days ago. So AEW, every big show AEW's done this year, pay-per-view or otherwise, or like a Grand Slam show, has either been a sellout or it's been a near sellout. So to all the AEW haters, all the AEW doubters, all the the anti pro wrestling, anti AEW dickwads, looks like you're wrong once again. And it looks like you have to basically have egg on your face once again. So yeah, there you go. I figure I'd just throw that one in there. But anyway, so with that being said, let me just go ahead, and now that I got all that out of the way, let me just go ahead and kind of cover or kind of go through the match card. Since we're 3 days away from the show, I figured I'd go ahead and give you guys the match card. And I must say, from right after All In to Forbidden Door, for the last couple weeks that they've been hyping this up, they've built up quite a unique match card here. I'm very much looking forward to several of these matches, some of which have been added on within the last few weeks alone, some of which have been added within the last week. But that being said, AEW is great at taking pay-per-views or taking big shows like this that maybe don't have a whole lot of matches announced, at least not ahead of time, and then adding matches and just making the absolute best out of every single match that they have on these big shows on these pay-per-views. So AEW, I think Forbidden Door 2025 is going to be another great show. I can just tell you, in front of that crowd, in front of that that damn near sellout crowd in London at the O2, I think it's going to be a great show. But anyway, so with that being said, let me go ahead and give you guys my predictions of the match cards so far. So here we go. So for those of you who are familiar with this channel, you've seen these predictions videos I do and such, you know how this goes. For anybody who's new, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through every match that has been announced for the card for Sunday, just give you our brief thoughts. I'll try not to make this too long. Again, I say that every video, but it ends up being a freaking 30-40 minute video every time I do these predictions videos. But I'm going to try to keep it brief and just go through it briefly, what I think of the match, and this, that, and the third, and then I give you my picks as to who I think is going to win and why. So, that being said, without further ado, let us get into my AEW Forbidden Door 2025 predictions. As we currently stand, there are 9 matches that have been announced for the card for Sunday, according to their Wikipedia, and there's probably going to be more. I'm sure they're going to have a 0 hour or a pre-show or something of that nature, or maybe they add another match or two by the time the pay-per-view takes place. I'm not really, because they always do that. They always add matches days before or a day or two before. So again, we're 3 days away, so I'm sure they're going to add another couple matches. They might even add a match or two the day of or the night before, I should say, because we still got Collision. So if there is any matches that are added, I may do a shorter follow-up or maybe a post or something and give my thoughts or give my prediction for whatever match to add, if I get the chance to. But anyway, so right now, as of Thursday, August 21st, there are 9 matches that have been announced so far for the card for Sunday. So, going to go through these matches, and I'm going to tell you what I think. So, with that being said, without further ado, let us get into my predictions. So, we'll start here. On the Wikipedia, it's kind of ordered in a weird way. So, I'm going to start from the bottom, and then I'm kind of work my way up. And the match that is likely going to be the main event, I'll save that for the end. So I'm gonna kind of start at the bottom, and then kind of skip one and then go up from there, if that makes sense. But anyway, so let us begin. So we'll start with this specialty tag team match, and this is going to be a very interesting match, just considering it is a tag team match. No title on the line, anything like that, but it is an attraction in a different kind of sense. Just the fact that we're going to get the reunion of one of the most famous tag teams in wrestling, at least way back in the day during the days of course, the 2000s Attitude Era. So for the first time in 20 years, we're going to have the team of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Yes, Cope and Christian will be teaming up for the first time since coming to AEW. For the first time in 20 years, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage will be on a team together. And they will be facing the team of Kip Sabian and the returning Kill Switch, a.k.a. Luchasaurus. He was, of course, known as Luchasaurus. Then he changed his name to Kill Switch, of course, obviously as part of Christian's whole thing. Christian basically renamed him in the Kill Switch, which is, if you don't know, Christian's finisher. But yeah, so Adam Copeland and Christian Cage teaming up to take on Kip Sabian and Kill Switch. Now, like I said, this is the first time we're seeing, if you don't know, back in the day, back when they were in WWF, they were known as Edge and Christian, or ENC, and they were one of the most famous tag teams of that era. Some people put them in the same league as the Hardys and the Dudleys and so on and so forth. They were that good. They were that good. All the TLC matches, the tables, knives, and chairs matches, all the ladder matches, just everything they went through. They were a prolific tag team for a long time. And again, there's just a significance of the fact that this is the first time they're going to team together in 20 years. That in and of itself is more than enough to, I think, want to draw you to just find out what happens in this match, see how that chemistry is going to go. And even though obviously they're not fully reunited as a team per se, it's more so them kind of coming together and fight off, various, battle against various other teams or factions or whatever they have issues with, kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. They're not actually teaming, like they're not actually back together like a unit like they were way back when, but it's kind of more of a I guess a truce, if you will, in a sense. And that's basically what Christian said in his promo on Dynamite. Of course, shortly afterwards, we had the return of Killswitch, which, very surprised, very shocking to see a return of Killswitch. That was definitely a shock to a lot of people, myself included. I did not expect Killswitch to return. So you had Nick Wayne, who was basically selling an injury, and he basically kind of said, hey, you took me out, so on and so forth. And he basically said he was one step ahead. Then you had Killswitch come out. Killswitch came out and laid waste to both Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, along with Kip Sabian, who's there. And so obviously that sets up this match. So so it's going to be an interesting tag match, just in the sense of to see how Cope and Christian work together as a tandem after having been, first off, at odds for so long, just in AEW, just within the last year or so alone, just their history in AEW. They've gone against each other. They had a blood feud for a long time, and now they're partners again for the first time in 20 years, for the first time in 2 decades. So just seeing that, just getting to see how they come together, or how they're going to mesh together, or how they're going to team together or work together, will be interesting in of itself. And then, of course, you have the tandem of Kip Sabian, who's, again, part of that, formerly of the Patriarchy, which now, I guess, is run by Nick Wayne and, his mother. And now, again, Kip Sabian's a part of that, and I guess Killswitch is a part of that, too, because, Christian Cage turned on them, so I guess Killswitch finally ended up turning on Christian, so it is what it is. But, nonetheless, it's going to be unique. It's going to be definitely interesting to see what all happens in this tag match. I think it's going to be enjoyable on both sides. I think both teams, I think there's intrigue in terms of how both teams will work. So we'll see what happens. As to who wins, to me it's a foregone conclusion. There's no way you're going to put Adam Copeland and Christian Cage in a tandem for the first time in that long and have them lose this match. There's no way they're losing this match. No way they're losing this match. I get it, Killswitch return, but that being said, there's no way Cope and Christian are losing. No way. There's no way they're losing this match. It's a foregone conclusion. Cope and Christian are winning. And obviously Kip Sabian's in this match because he's clearly going to be the one to take the fall. It's not going to be Killswitch. Killswitch literally just came back. So basically you could argue that Kip Sabian's sole role in this match is to eat the pin. But yeah, so that's pretty much where we're going off there. So obviously, my pick for this match, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage versus Kip Sabian, Killswitch. Cope and Christian are winning, and that's pretty much a foregone conclusion. I think everybody's going to say that. That's a foregone conclusion. But it should, nonetheless, it should be interesting to see what they do. All right, moving on. Sorry, I didn't want to harp on that too long, but I just had to kind of get all that out. All right, moving on. So next up, we have a very interesting singles match here. This one being for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe I should have saved this for whatever. I might as well just get it on now. Singles match here for the IWGP Interpromotional match here for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. The current champion is Zack Sabre Jr., which he actually lost the title and then gained it back, I think, a couple months ago. It's going to be Zack Sabre Jr. representing New Japan as the champion versus Nigel McGuinness, of course, representing AEW, and he will be accompanied apparently by Daniel Garcia, or Daniel Garcia is going to be in his corner for this match. And so Nigel, as you guys know, Nigel McGuinness is more so like he's taking a commentary role. But he has wrestled some matches. The last match he had, he was in a tandem with Daniel Garcia on, I believe it was, I don't think it was All In. I think it was the pay-per-view before that. I think it was Double or Nothing, where he teamed up with Daniel Garcia against FTR in a losing effort. And I think that at the time, a lot of people said it was Nigel McGuinness' last match. But then we have here where Nigel McGuinness actually, he won a 4-way. I think it was a 4-way, like at last week's Collision, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He won a 4-way match in order to earn in order to become the number one contender and earn a shot at Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World Championship here. So this ought to be a very fun match. If you haven't seen Zack Sabre Jr. wrestle, he's a very tech-savvy individual, very, very, again, very technical. Much like, if you guys know, of course, Hechisero from CMLL. He's known as the Wizard. He does all this, he does all this kind of shit, and he's very, very innovative in terms of his offense, in terms of his style. Zack Sabre Jr. is very similar to that, only he's not as flashy. He's just very straightforward, very straightforward. He's a textbook technical wrestler. And that's kind of what Zack Sabre Jr. has been for the majority of his time. And I've seen several of Zack Sabre Jr.'s matches throughout, not just in New Japan, but, he's made appearances in Ring of Honor. He's made appearances in AEW in the past, at pay-per-views, specifically like pay-per-views like this, Forbidden Door. And so it's going to be interesting to see how well he does, or how he's progressed since, winning the title back. And then, of course, you got Nigel McGuinness, who's coming off that big win. He's coming off a series, he's had a number of matches. Again, he doesn't wrestle regularly. Like, he's kind of been in the mix here and there since, like, last year with his whole feud with Bryan Danielson. And he's had, some pretty solid matches. So I do think that this is going to be an interesting contest between two guys, and Zack Sabre Jr., as tech-savvy as he is, versus Nigel McGuinness, who for a long time was as good, if not better in terms of being a technical wrestler than Zack Sabre Jr. was back in his day, back in his time in Ring of Honor when he was Ring of Honor World Champion, and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be a very interesting match just based on that. As to who wins, obviously Zack Sabre Jr. is more than likely going to retain. I don't see Nigel McGuinness winning this match. It kind of wouldn't really, I won't say it wouldn't make sense, but I just don't see it. So Zack Sabre Jr. is likely going to win here, but I do think Nigel McGuinness is going to put on a show. I do think he's going to put on a show, especially, I'm pretty sure Nigel McGuinness is from the UK, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's got that kind of aura. Yeah, he is an English, pro wrestler. So yeah, he's going to be basically in his hometown, as will, Zack Sabre Jr. Well, yeah, so they're both basically from the UK, so obviously the crowd's going to be very much into this match, but I do see Zack Sabre Jr. soundly winning this match, and he will retain the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Moving on. So next up, we have a singles match, another interesting match here, unique match here. Singles match for another interpromotional match for the AEW TNT Championship. The new champion, Kyle Fletcher, defends against Hiromu Takahashi of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Kyle Fletcher, this is, I think, his first title defense since winning the title a couple weeks back when he defeated Dustin Rhodes in that nasty fucking, what was it, a street fight, whatever, Texas street fight, or whatever kind of street fight it was. I forget where they were. But it was a nasty, gritty match, and Kyle Fletcher, he got it done, much to my surprise, much to a lot of people's surprise, he got it done against Dustin Rhodes. So he's the champion, he has been the champion. This is his first technically title defense against Hiromu Takahashi. Hiromu Takahashi, who I have seen previously wrestle in the past. I actually watched his match earlier this year at Wrestle Kingdom against, who did he face? He faced the dude that he's in the faction with. I can't think of the dude's name right offhand. I hate when I do that, but yeah, he's in a faction with the guy that he faced at back at Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year. So yeah, I've seen Hiromu Takahashi wrestle a handful of times in the last couple of years, so he's a solid wrestler, as is Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher's since establishing himself as a singles guy, Kyle Fletcher's been one of those kind of guys who, he's on the up and up. Like, I think at some point he is going to be slowly start to climb that ladder. He's slowly been gaining traction. I think at some point Kyle Fletcher will be in that kind of upper mid-card main event tier within the next year or so. I think he's that good. So I do think this is going to be a solid match. As to who wins, though, Kyle Fletcher's obviously retaining. He is not dropping the title, his first title defense. He's not. No disrespect, no slide to Hiromu Takahashi. I don't see him winning here. So Kyle Fletcher's going to win. It should be a fun match, but Kyle Fletcher's winning. He's retaining the title. Moving on. So next up, we have another interpromotional match here. This one featuring 4 individuals, a special four-way match for the AEW TBS Championship. The current champion, Mercedes Moné, 8 belts Moné. Yes, 8 belts Moné will be defending the TBS title here, or one of her titles, against Alex Windsor from AEW. Represented AEW, along with Mercedes Moné. Alex Windsor of AEW, Persephone, I hope I pronounced that right, Persephone of CMLL, and also Bozilla representing Stardom. So, again, a 3-promotion interpromotional match here. Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion. Alex Windsor represent AEW, and she was also a part of Rev Pro, if I'm not mistaken. Persephone of CML, and Bozilla, who was recently added, courtesy of Stardom, which is affiliated, of course, with New Japan. So 4-way match here for the AEW TBS championship. Now, obviously, I'm familiar, of course, Mercedes Moné, who has been just killing it since last year. She's only had one loss in AEW, and that, of course, was to Toni Storm, as she failed to capture the AEW Women's World title, which I'm just going to say this right now. At some point, Mercedes Moné will be the AEW Women's World Champion. That's undeniable. At some point, she is going to win that title. It's only a matter of time. I think she's kind of doing this belt collector thing for the time being. I do think, eventually it's kind of going to, they're slowly going to fade it out, but I think, she's having fun with it, so. A lot of people are complaining about it. Oh my God, she's got too many titles. It's like, chill out, folks. It's a fucking gimmick. It's a belt collector gimmick. A number of talents have done it. Ultimo Dragon did it. Kenny Omega did it. The Hardys did it at one point when they were in TNA. It's like it's a belt collector gimmick. Mercedes Moné's doing the belt collector gimmick. Only in the women's. She's a woman. I think it's like the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like the first time a woman has done the belt collector gimmick, but that's what she's doing. And it's clearly working because she's getting heat on herself. So I don't understand the hatred. Like I don't understand why people are upset with this. I just don't get it. Or maybe just people are complaining for the sake of complaining. But Mercedes Moné is tearing it up right now. She's absolutely tearing it up. But obviously we know who Mercedes Moné is. I know who Alex Windsor is because we've seen her since she debuted in AEW, and she's very, very, very talented in the handful of matches I've seen her in since since she officially became an AEW talent. I do think she's an up-and-coming talent who will be hopefully be getting some serious shine and hopefully be getting some gold in the near future. And Persephone, I think I've seen 1 or 2 matches of her. I'm not super familiar with her, and I'm not familiar with Bozilla at all. I don't think I've seen her ever. So again, it's a Stardom talent. So apparently she, according to the commentator, she's like a second generation talent. I'm not sure of who, but I guess we'll find out. But anyway, so 4-way match here for the TBS Championship. I do think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really solid. It's going to be a really fun match to watch. It's going to be an exciting match and all that kind of stuff. Seeing all these just meshing elements. Again, all these. How the hell do they put it? All these. These 4 women all going at each other. Just these. How the fuck did? How can I put this? All these. Everybody. Everything. All four ladies here. All these variables, if you want to call it, that I think sometimes people say, oh, these 4 women are going to put on a show here in this match. I do think it's going to be a fun match. It's going to be a very interesting and unique match, especially considering the ladies who I don't really know all that well, that being Persephone and Bozilla. So we'll see how they kind of factor into it. And obviously Mercedes Moné, she puts on a top tier match in whatever she's doing, whatever match she wrestles in, she always puts it like a top tier match, or she always elevates it. And so, and same could be said for Alex Windsor to a lesser extent, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this match goes. As to who wins, I know a lot of people are going to say Mercedes is going to retain. I'm personally Mercedes has been TBS champion for well over a year now, and again, she's kind of she's elevated that title to such a degree, but I do believe that at some point she's got to go to that next level. She is undisputably one of the top women wrestlers, one of the top female talents in AEW. So at some point, she's going to go for that AEW Women's World title, and she's going to win it. So I do believe that at some point she's got to drop the TBS title. So will it be in this match? I don't know. I do think at some point she is going to drop the TBS title to somebody. I don't know who it is. I was thinking maybe it was Mina Shirakawa and then she retains. Maybe it's Alex Windsor. You never know. So, again, a lot of people might look at this match and say, oh, it's a foregone conclusion that Mercedes will retain. I don't know. I personally think she might drop the title here. And if she does drop the title to somebody, it makes all the sense in the world that she will drop the title to somebody like Alex Windsor, who's also in AEW now. No shade to Persephone or Bozilla, but I don't see either of them winning. I personally think it's going to come down to Mercedes or Alex Windsor here. I just get that feeling. There's just something about this match. I just get that feeling. This could be the match that AEW uses to take the title off of Mercedes, and then, she gets inserted back into the AEW Women's World Title picture, because she is going to be back in that World Title picture. She's too big of a talent to not be in the AEW Women's World Title picture. So, again, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I know, it's more than likely Mercedes will retain, but for the sake of this predictions video, I'm going to say that Alex Windsor pulls the upset. I say Alex Windsor pulls the upset. She wins this match. I don't know if she's necessarily going to pin Mercedes or pin one of the other two participants in the match, but I do feel like Alex Windsor may pull the upset in here. She wins this match by hook or by crook, and she becomes the new AEW TBS champion. I can very well see that happening. I know, again, this is me really going out on a limb, but that's my prediction for this match. I think Alex Windsor gets the W, and I think she becomes the new TBS champion. I just get that feeling. And so this might be a way of kind of this might be kind of a backdoor way of getting the title off of Mercedes, but I just think it is going to happen at some point. They're going to take that title off her at some point. So I think this might be the match to do it. So give me Alex Windsor to win this match, and she will be the new TBS champion. Fingers crossed. Moving on. Speaking of champions, speaking of the women's division, holy shit, this next match. All right, so we have a match here, another match here in the women's division. This one being for the AEW, as I was just talking about, the AEW Women's World Championship. The champion, Timeless Toni Storm, defends against Ring of Honor Forever Women's Champion Athena, which Athena is cashing in her guaranteed title shot by virtue of winning the Women's Casino Gauntlet match back at All In. So this is basically her title shot for the AEW Women's World Title. So these are obviously two of the biggest, much like Mercedes Moné. Athena is up there as well. She's been the Ring of Honor Women's Champion for going on 1,000 days. I mean, that's just an incredible length of time to hold any title. Much less, the the Ring of Honor Women's World Title. And I get it, Ring of Honor isn't exactly as big as it used to be. They're basically a subsidiary of AEW and so on and so forth. But still, holding the Ring of Honor, I keep saying AEW, I'm sorry. Holding the Ring of Honor Women's World Title for as long as she has, almost 1,000 days, is quite an accomplishment. It's a testament to just how good she can be. And if you don't think she's good, we've seen a couple of her matches in the last few weeks, albeit mostly tag matches, but we've seen just how good Athena can be. And I do think she is more than a match for Toni Storm. We've seen kind of their face-offs the last few weeks, and they have been comical. They have definitely been interesting, and I do think this match will definitely live up to the hype. And I do think it's going to be a great match, an excellent match in the women's division, much like Toni Storm's match against Mercedes Moné back at All in Texas. So I do think this is going to be a fun match. I do think this is going to be a hard-hitting match, probably one of the best women's matches of the year. I'll go out on a limb and say that. I think this might be one of the best women's matches of the year, right up there with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. I do think this is going to be one of the best matches, and this could be a strong candidate for match of the night. Could be a women's match of the year candidate as well. I think it's going to be that good. We'll see what happens. As to who wins, all due respect to Athena, I got to give it to Toni Storm. I don't think Toni Storm's dropping the title here. I mentioned Mercedes Moné. I do believe that at some point Mercedes is going to be the one to take the title off Toni Storm. That being said, Athena, I do think that at some point she's going to be in that conversation too. Obviously she's the Ring of Honor Women's Champion right now. Will they take that title off for her in the near future? I don't know. But I do think Athena is in that conversation, along with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. She is one of the top names. She's one of the top tier talents in terms of the women's division in AEW, and I think she will be in that conversation too. Mark my words. But for the time being, for this match, I got Toni Storm retaining. That's just my prediction. Moving on. So next up, we get another real fun match here, though. This match is going to be, oh boy, this match is going to be real good. Real solid match here. Okay, now next match will be for the AEW Unified Championship. The champion, Kazuchika Okada, defending against Swerve Strickland. We've seen these two butt heads the last couple weeks. Really, ever since Kazuchika Okada won the title, he basically unified the Continental title and the International title to form the Unified Championship, which, of course, he won that match against Kenny Omega. Another excellent encounter between those two. It's just like every time Omega and Okada have a match, it's an instant classic. And I do think this match here between Okada and Swerve is going to be in that conversation as well. I think both these guys are, on any given occasion, are capable of putting on a 5-star classic match of the year style outing. And so I do think they're going to pull out all the stops once again. I do see both guys kind of taking each other to the limit, to the wire, so on and so forth. We're going to get a lot of we're going to get a lot of close calls, a lot of near finishes. I do see this match being another match of the. I do see this match being a match of the, certainly a match of the night candidate, maybe even a match of the year candidate. I do think both these two guys are that good, and this match I think would be that good. So this is one of the matches I'm most looking forward to, along with Toni Storm Athena, along with the women's 4-way for the TBS title, and along with the main event, which I'll get to later. But yeah, so it should be an excellent match. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to watch it. I hope to God I don't have to work that day. This is one of the matches I'm really looking forward to watching. It's going to be that good. I feel. As to who wins, though, I gotta say, for the time being, Swerve could pull it out. For the time being, I'm gonna say Okada retains. Like he literally just unified the titles. I don't see him dropping it here. I do think Swerve's going to take him to the limit, but I think Okada is going to pull it out by hook or by crook, and he's going to retain the unified title, at least for the time being. So, give me Okada over Swerve, and he retains the AEW Unified Championship. So, that's my pick for that match. Moving on, let's got a couple matches, about 3 matches left to go here. So, next, we get a three-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The champions, the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, defending against both the teams of Brody King and Bandito, or Brodito, and also against FTR, that being Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. Of course, this match came as a result of the, of course, we had the finals of the Tag Team Eliminator Tournament, where the winner was set to face the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW World Tag Team titles on this pay-per-view. But the match ended in a time limit draw, so as a result, we got the announcement via Tony Khan that both teams will be in the match, and it will be made a 3-way for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Which I had a distinct feeling that it was going to that. Just seeing how long the match went, and then it actually happened, and then sure enough, the announcement was made right after, and so now we have both teams that are facing the Hurt Syndicate, or both teams are challenging for the AEW tag team titles here against the Hurt Syndicate. And I personally am very much going to enjoy this match as well. Like, these are 3 really good teams. Brodito, they haven't been teaming very long, but they got that chemistry, I'll tell you. They got that chemistry, and I really like what I've seen from them. FTR, of course, FTR is one of the best tag teams in the world right now. Like, FTR is always going to give you a solid match. And the Hurt Syndicate, I'll tell you, man, I'm telling you, like, ever since the Hurt Syndicate joined AEW, they have been absolute fire, you know. And it's I'm sure to a lot of people's surprise, just based on the fact that you look at Bobby Lashley and even Shelton Benjamin, they come off as more of singles guys, but they've been really solid as a tandem. Like, people don't like, if you've been paying attention to their matches, their tag matches, they are really solid as a tandem. Not just in terms of the dominating factor, but also in terms of just their tag team, just their continuity and their tag team just prowess. I mean, Shelton Benjamin was a tag team wrestler for a long time. And you add MVP to the mix, who basically fronts the faction. Like, the Hurt Syndicate has been fire, and they're definitely appealing to the crowd. They're getting over the crowd, because every time they come out, you got the crowd sing along to the theme. You know, we hurt people. So they're definitely getting over. And I do think that this match is going to be another match of the night. I know I say that about a lot of the matches on this card, but it's a really good card. It's a stacked card, man. So I do think this is going to be a really solid, fun match in the tag division. If you saw that match that went to a time limit draw on Dynamite between FTR and Brodito, this match is going to be just as good, if not better. I'm calling it right now. So, 3-way match here, 3-way tag team match for the AEW tag titles. As to who wins, that's going to be close. This is going to be a close one, man. You could make a case for any of these teams. You could make a case for FTR, obviously. You could even make a case for Brodito, even though I personally think they're the underdogs in the match. Even as good as they are, you know, let's face facts. In regards to the 3 of them, they're the least experienced team. They are, I guess, would be considered the underdogs in this match. But just based on it, I personally don't see the Hurt Syndicate losing here. Like, I just don't. Like, anytime you have a 3-way match, when it comes to the Hurt Syndicate had a 3-way match at the last pay-per-view at All in Texas, and they retained theirs. So I kind of see them doing the same thing here. I do think that they're going to retain the titles here once again. They're going to pull it out once again, and I do think at some point we're going to get the Hurt Syndicate and FTR just at each other in terms of a standard tag team match, probably somewhere down the line. I do think that's going to be. I do think that's where we're headed. I think maybe after FTR, because at some point FTR is going to face Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Now that they're reunited, but for now, I got the Hurt Syndicate retaining here, and they will retain the AEW tag titles at least for the time being, at least for another month or however long. Anyway, moving on. So next up, we have our second to last match here, that being a special, for the first time ever, I believe, a lights out steel cage match. It is going to be the team of Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay versus the team of the Death Riders, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and also Gabe Kidd. So a 5-on-5 tag team lights out steel cage match. Now I know we've had lights out matches in the past in AEW. I don't think we've ever had a lights out steel cage match. So kind of interested to see what all this entails. But given that it's a 5-on-5 match, multi-person match in a steel cage, I'm surprised they didn't have blood and guts here. Or maybe they're saving blood and guts. Or I heard people mention, why is it a blood and guts match? What happened to blood and guts? Maybe they're saving that for down the line, maybe in a future episode of Dynamite, because they usually do have blood and guts like around this time. They've had it for the last couple of years. Maybe they're kind of saving it for later this year. They're kind of putting it off for later this year. Maybe at the October pay-per-view, which is Wrestle Dream. Maybe they save it for Full Gear. And like I said, maybe they save it for a Dynamite show down the line. Maybe Grand Slam. You never know. But I do think they're going to bring blood and guts at some point. But this will be a lights out steel cage match, and I do think, just considering all the individuals involved, the combustible elements, if you will, I do think this is going to be a badass match. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be zany. It's going to be freaking anarchy, basically. Not quite anarchy in the arena, but it's going to be very close. Only it's going to be contained inside a steel cage. So we'll see what happens, man. As to who wins, it's going to be close. I'm going to go ahead and take the face team here. I'm going to take Omega, Ibushi, Allin, Tanahashi, and Ospreay. I just think that they've got the momentum. Especially Will Ospreay is going to be massively over in his hometown, or in his home country, I should say, in London, England. He's like 30 minutes away from his home or whatever, and so he's going to be massively over. And I don't see them losing. I mean, they could. I mean, I would not put it past AEW to put the Death Riders and the Death Riders and the Bucks and Gabe Kidd over, just to kind of give us something, kind of give us something a little different for what is expected, kind of get further heat on the Death Riders and such, and the Bucks to a degree. But I just see the face team winning here, and we'll see what happens in terms of Darby Allin and his quest for vengeance against the Death Riders. Same thing with Will Ospreay and Omega and everybody else on the team. So, but I do think it's going to be a very fun match. But I got the face team winning here, and so finally, we get to what should be our main event match of the night, of the evening. It is going to be the singles match for the AEW World Championship. The new champion, Hangman Adam Page, in, I believe his, for technically, I don't know, I don't remember. Did he defend the title? I don't remember, because he just won it last month at All In Texas. I don't know if he defended the title on Dynamite. I don't remember. But it's going to be his first title defense on pay-per-view. But anyway, so the new champion, Hangman Adam Page, defends against Maxwell Jacob Friedman, that being MJF, with the added stipulations, as of this past week's Dynamite, that if Hangman Page gets disqualified or counted out, he loses the title. And also, by virtue of the third stipulation that MJF basically threatened Hangman to accept, otherwise he was going to burn Mark Briscoe alive, MJF does not have to use his guaranteed title shot or his contract that he won by virtue of winning the Casino Gauntlet back at All In. He does not have to use that in order to get this match. He's going to get this match anyway. He's going to get his world title shot here, and he does not have to cash it. He can basically keep that, his guaranteed title shot contract in his back pocket. And so that's going to be a unique kind of wrinkle with this match, along with the fact that if Hangman gets disqualified or counted out, he loses the match. But we'll see what happens. But we've seen Hangman Adam Page and MJF face each other on a number of occasions. They last faced each other a couple months ago, actually, earlier this year at a pay-per-view match. They had a pay-per-view match, which, of course, was won by Hangman Adam Page. And so this, obviously, is much, much higher stakes, given that it's for the world title. And given the fact that, again, MJF has kind of schemed his way back into the world title picture, and he's got this contract, he's still got his contract, he doesn't have to cash it in to have this match. And, there's the possibility that, Hangman Page could win the match, and then MJF will do some bullshit afterwards, and then just like attack him, and then cash in, and then win the title afterwards. So he basically has 2 shots. There's a possibility that MJF could have 2 shots at the title on this night. He could have this match, this match here, and then like say hypothetically he loses some way, and then he attacks Hangman after the match, and then he cashes in, and he could fucking take the title from that way. Which I don't know if they're going to go that route. I personally don't think so. I do think it's an added wrinkle that they're going to kind of tease throughout this match, but I personally don't think it's going to go that route. They may tease it, but I don't think they're going to go that route. Somebody's going to intervene on behalf of Hangman and Page, but if it comes to that. But I do think it's going to be a great match, a solid match. Again, if you've seen their previous matches, if you saw the match they had a couple months ago, I forget what pay-per-view it was. I think it was Revolution or Dynasty, one of the two. These 2 guys wrestled each other like a couple months ago. But anyway, if you've seen the previous matches, they always put on solid outings, and this one will be no different. That being for the AEW World Title, they're definitely going to pull out all the stops, and I do think this is going to be the main event, the final match of the show. Albeit, there's a lot of this is, like I said before, this is a stacked card, but I do believe that this is going to be the main event of the night. And so the last match of the night, and so I think both guys are going to go all out, no pun intended. They're going to say, it's going to go to the wire, and I do think there's going to be a lot of, there may be some trickery, some chicanery at the end, maybe some shenanigans, some trickery, from MJF to try to weasel his way into, getting Hangman to get himself DQ'd or counted out or whatever, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, as to who wins, I'm going to say Hangman Adam Page retains here. I don't see him dropping the title, he literally just wanted it all in, and with all the momentum that he's got right now, all the positive momentum he's got right now, there's no way they're going to have him drop the title here. A month after he won it, I just don't see that. I don't see him being a transitional champion. And I also don't see, like I said, MJF has, again, this guaranteed contract or whatever, and there's a possibility that Hangman wins, and then MJF, does some bullshit after the match, attacks him, and then tries to cash in, and then tries to, beat him, with the cash in instead of, a standard, one-on-one match. I don't think it's going to come to that either. I do think it's going to be attempted, but I think, again, somebody is going to interfere on Hangman's behalf. It might be Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe and MJF got this big thing going, so I do think somebody's going to come in. And intervene on behalf of Hangman Page if it does come to that, and MJF is going to be thwarted in his attempt to win the AEW World's title on this night. So that's just my opinion, but it should be an awesome match, should be an excellent outing. But as to who wins, I got to say Hangman and Page beats MJF once again, and he retains the AEW World Heavyweight Championship going forward. So that is my prediction for that, and that is pretty much going to do it for this predictions video. And so once again, we are over 40 minutes, and it happens, dude. It happens, folks. I have a lot to say, a lot to get out, and the video tends to run long, especially when it comes to predictions videos and me, just basically speaking what I think of these matches and the shows and such. So these predictions videos run long, so it is what it is. But anyway, that's pretty much going to be it for that. Those are all my predictions. Those are all the matches that have been announced. Those are my picks and my thoughts on said matches, and that is pretty much going to do it for this predictions video. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts on any of these matches. If you have any predictions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Let me know. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support I can get. We are very, very close, and I mean very close, 20 or so subs away from hitting 1K, 1,000 subs here on the Wrestling Otaku channel. And I hope that we can get there by in at least, I'd say, another couple weeks. Hopefully. Fingers crossed, man. We're real close to getting there. And I'm very excited, man. I'm very excited, to be that close to getting back to 1,000 subs. So if you guys can help me out with that would be greatly appreciated. So if any of you are going to watch the pay-per-view on Sunday, hope you enjoy it. Hope it is enjoyable. I think it will be. I think this pay-per-view is badass. It's a stacked card, and I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Again, every time AEW goes to the UK or goes overseas or goes international, be it London or the UK or Canada or Mexico, wherever they go, it's always an electric crowd. They've had a show in Glasgow for Dynamite. That was an electric crowd, and I'm sure this will be no different. With 17,000+ strong in the O2 Arena, it's going to be an excellent, excellent show. I can't wait to see it. Again, hopefully I don't have to work that day. We'll see what happens. But if you guys are going to be watching the show, hope you enjoy it. It will be an enjoyable show. But anyway, that's going to do it for this predictions video. Thank you for watching once again. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'll see you guys on Sunday, and we'll see how my predictions pan out. But anyway, that's going to be it for now. Thank you for watching. Wrestling Otaku, I'm out. See you guys later. Peace.